What Remains of Edith Finch?
Welcome to That Co-op Podcast where controller meets conversation. I'm Anna.
And I'm Ed. If you're tuning in on your favorite podcast app, don't forget that we've got a video version on YouTube at That Co-op Couple, where we play games while we chat.
Today's game is What Remains of Edith Finch, one of Ed's favorite games. I played this game for the first time in this episode, so we're going to discuss my thoughts and reactions.
Make sure you leave us comments letting us know your thoughts on this game. Have you played it? Do you like it? Hate me? Let us know.
If you've made it past the intro, please consider sharing our content or even just commenting. Every little bit of engagement helps us get the word out to others, and we'd really appreciate the support.
So What Remains of Edith Finch is definitely a game that, compared to other games I would put in my favorite games of all time list, is definitely a little more serious of a game. So just a little bit of a warning now, there are definitely topics of death, family conflicts, self-inflicted deaths. So
the whole game is about death. So if that's a sensitive
about
topic
grieving, about learning about your family in some not so great ways, perhaps.
Yeah.
So if you're not necessarily in the correct headspace for this, maybe come back when you're ready to discuss topics like this.
Or listen to another episode that is way lighter than
we have some really
this.
more fun ones out there, but today's going to be a little bit more
different.
serious of a topic.
Yeah.
What Remains of Edith Finch was first released in 2017, so it's not that old of a game for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. It came to the Nintendo Switch in 2019. iOS got it in 2021. Sorry, Android users. Mm-hmm. It was developed by Giant Sparrow Games, so it's an indie game. A lot of indie games sort of explore themes and topics the AAA big studios sort of just don't touch because they're more concerned with entertainment and storytelling, which is also a great thing. But it's nice when you get a video game that can be a little bit more serious in nature. Mm-hmm. Long story short, Edith Finch is a teenage girl who returns to her family home for the first time in years to uncover the mysterious pasts and deaths of every member of her family. So as you play the game, you sort of go through these stories where each member of the family kind of delves into their past, their history, and then right at the very end of each one of those stories, you get realization of how each member of this family died. The family believes that they're cursed. So every member of the family dies because of some curse that was inflicted years ago that the family is very much just constantly trying to run from. Mm-hmm. And it seems like no matter what they do, that curse is there to follow. This was an opportunity for me to expose Anna to a game that she didn't know about. One of my favorite games. You know, you mention all the time that you've watched a lot of games, but you haven't played a lot of games. So Anna played this game entirely. I did nothing. She had the controller the entire time. So, you know, what were your initial thoughts going into this?
Well, so I didn't know literally anything. I've never even heard of the game. I wouldn't have guessed this game in a million years to be one of your favorite games.
It was probably like downloaded on my PlayStation and I was like scrolling through games and I probably said like, oh, What Remains of Edith Finch? What a great game. And then never talked about it again.
Yeah, I was expecting like a Pokemon game or Horizon Zero Dawn, which I've played a little bit of, but I didn't know if that like if you would have put that in or I had no idea. I literally did not think I didn't know about this game, so I definitely wouldn't have thought of this one. But yeah, I didn't even, I haven't seen gameplay of it. I haven't heard of it, going in completely blind, except for the fact before we recorded the episode, Ed did preface saying, do you want a heavier game or do you want a Pokemon game?
I think it's important no matter what, to preface that kind of thing where you're saying this game is going to alter your emotional state. Or do you just want to catch cute little creatures for a couple of hours? Those were your two options for this round of video game of me introducing you to some video games.
And as someone who's played a few Pokemon games, I do love Pokemon games, but also I even though I haven't played a lot of them, I kind of understand the gist. Not that I'm not open to playing them still.
You say that, but the game I was going to have you play is vastly different.
Okay. So, but at least that's what my thought was. So I was like, I want something new, something. And then also it was like spooky season. It's right after Halloween. So I was like, maybe I didn't know it was going to be this kind of heavy, but I was like, maybe that could be a cool like theme for Halloween. I truly thought I would at least recognize the name of it because you had said it was one of your favorite games, and I figured that I just would have heard something about it. So I didn't even want like a single hint of that. Even if you had said it, I would have been like, I don't know what that is.
This game, I feel like, was a really good introduction into this series because, one, it's only about a 2-hour long game.
Yeah, that is what you also did mention, that saying it was heavy and that it could be played probably
very
in 2
much
hours.
Possible to sit in one sitting and crank out the game. And you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, will not get to see the entire game today. But if you're interested and you have never seen the game before, we will release the full movie next week on our channel, where we will post the entire like almost 2-hour gameplay, and you guys can sit if you're interested in seeing what happens.
I know we've just gotten started and we have a lot to talk about, but I really do highly recommend, not even just for like follow us and watch our stuff. I genuinely think this is such a worthwhile game to, regardless of like if you're actually playing it or not. I think it's at least worth watching if you're not ready to play it.
Even if you're not going to watch us play it, go watch somebody else play it.
If you've never, especially if you've never heard of this game.
I think it costs like $20. You could probably even get it on a sale come up in the holidays for way less, because it is only like a 2-hour long game.
Yeah.
You can get it on any console you want. So, give it a shot. Even if it's not your typical style of game, give it a shot. So what were your first thoughts? The game started, we got into it, you have control of the character. Take me through your very first thoughts.
Well, I will say, I thought it was going to be a horror game. And I think at the very beginning, I was like,
give off that vibe
I was like, is this a scary game? Am I going to get, because the first thing that you do when you're moving is like you're in the woods. And I like, it reminded me in the beginning, but then also many times throughout the game of Life is Strange.
It does give that vibe off.
Because of the narration, because of the art style, and just the music, the atmosphere.
The music, yeah. And I think the main character being a teenage girl really harkens back to that. Because that's also something Life is Strange is very big at doing, is trying to make the most relatable characters possible.
Yeah.
I think this game would have a far less impactful story if you were playing as like a 55-year-old man than as a 17-year-old girl who is discovering all of these not great things that have happened in her family.
Especially for the ending too.
It has a much bigger impact.
Yeah. So you're walking around a little bit and then you get to the house, which is the main and really the only scene of the whole game. It takes place in this house. Oh my God. The inside is incredible, but like just the outside, I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
It gives Weasley house.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Harry Potter, it gives Weasley house.
Yeah, but ginormous. It's huge and just like crazy looking and very DIY kind of vibes, but it's just very, very cool
kind of
atmosphere.
All just duct taped together, holding on by a thread.
Very cool, like whimsical. The other thing that I really, really liked and was kind of surprised at is the mechanics, the gameplay. You open the doors like with the joysticks, with the analog sticks, and it's so sensitive.
You actually have to pull the door open.
You have to like press right trigger to hold it, and then use the sticks to like turn the door handle, and it's really sensitive. So it's just like, even though there's not a lot of like action
classic
going,
video game,
it's still very immersive because each very little minute movement is controlled by you.
And I'm sure there is some sort of technical term for that style of game control, but could not tell you what that is.
Nope.
But I mean, everything from like you open a book, you have to physically grab and use the stick to turn the page.
Yeah, and if you stop it, it doesn't like fully open.
Yeah,
so you have
can
to like
stop halfway through and you just have a page sticking up and you have to finish turning the page and turn the next one. It really feels like you are the one in the game.
Yeah, which makes the story more impactful. The writing immediately, because I guess it doesn't really matter because I already said there's spoilers, but you're reading it as you're reading like a journal.
A journal, yeah.
The narration is journal entries.
The narration is journal entries, right?
Yeah. So just the writing and the way she delivers the lines are so well done, so well written. Hats off to the writers of this game, because wow, it was incredible. I think the design of the home, once you go inside of the home, super cool, whimsical, and then you find out the whole point of the game is unlocking secrets in the house, and then you get to find different aspects of the story, and just like the cool little cubbies. The design of this whole game, of this house, is just like, I don't even know.
Every person gets their own cool bedroom.
Yeah, but like like you have to enter it in some, like you open a book and then there's a lock and then there's like it's just like,
yeah.
I don't even know how you would think of that.
This family is wild.
Yeah, but
Absolutely
then like in terms of
family.
game design, I mean, like it's just like how, I don't know. It is
really cool.
to
And
see.
every single time one of those things happened, it was just a mini little like dopamine hit of like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, like, ooh, we got it. We figured it out. I opened up this book. There was this random door handle. I pulled it. And now I'm in this bedroom of this other kid that's designed to look like space. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's so vastly different from what just came before it. The game never gets repetitive.
Yeah.
The game never gives itself the opportunity to make you feel comfortable in one place, because it immediately throws you somewhere else. There's not a lot of like outside exploration. You're very much on a linear path. The game really tells you what to do and where to go. And part of that pacing allows you to just always be surprised. You're always on alert for whatever's going to come next. And I think that's part of the reason why I like it. You wrote in our notes, unsettling. I think that's that same feeling. You're never given the chance to just relax in the game. You always have to move on to something different.
I could tell very immediately from the dialogue that it was going to be a pretty heavy game. And I was like, oh, alrighty, here we go. We're buckled in. I was hooked pretty early on too. Like from seeing the house, I knew that it was going to be really, really cool. And it's not necessarily a puzzle game. There are like hidden things, but it's like Ed was saying, like it's meant to be found. I'm not saying it's super obvious, but it's definitely more based on the story, and
It's
finding out information on
the
people.
answer to the puzzles are there if you're paying attention. I think the easiest example that comes to mind is when you're playing the story of Barbara, the child actress. The narrator of the comic book, in the story, they give you the answer to where the key is hidden.
Yeah.
And then Barbara did this thing, pulled out the key and unlocked the door. You have to remember that. You have to be paying attention to the story, because once the story's over, the very next thing you have to do is get the key and unlock the same door that Barbara unlocked.
Yeah.
So the answers to the puzzles are right there. Like I said
If
before,
you're not paying attention,
it really
it
forces
could-
you to
yeah.
have to be paying attention and being aware of what's going on at all times.
That's true. If I was playing alone, I probably would have had a longer playthrough, because Ed was like, "Oh, there's the key. You gotta
I was
remember
like,
that." And I was like,
hey,
"Oh, okay, that's
remember,
right." Music
remember
box.
that key.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the different styles, the games within the game? Each character's story is presented very much in a different style and a different gameplay mechanic, and in a different way that never makes you think like each character is the same as what came before it.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the coolest aspect of this game for sure. And I was kind of surprised, because I thought it opens with, I already figured her name. Oh, Edith, duh. I was like, what's her name?
What remains of
Well, then there's Edie too, so I got confused.
great grandma Edie?
Yeah, Edith is talking about her missing brother, and then there's like flyers on the ground of this missing brother. So I thought the story was just about, or mainly about, finding what happened to the brother, only to find out that everyone is either missing or gone, dead, whatever, and we have to figure out what happened to every single one of them. So then I was like, whoa, that's wild. And then I think the first person that we find out the story is Molly, who's a young girl, and that her gameplay was wild, like super unexpected. There's a lot of moving, like a lot of, you're you get turned into an animal. It's all based in like her imagination.
Because she is like 6 years old.
Yeah. And also like it says in the narration that like there are stories about these people's death, but there's very unreliable information. It's very elaborated and
you're able to piece together what happened to the characters, but you're never quite sure how 100% accurate it is, because almost every story is told from the other character's perspective.
Yeah, from
you're
the character who
reading like a
died's
journal
perspective.
entry of this 6-year-old girl.
Yeah.
How reliable can a 6-year-old be in her writing?
Yeah,
right?
and it's very fantastical and imaginative. So you're like, okay, this clear, because she mentions like turning into a sea monster and like
Yeah.
a shark and all this stuff. And you're like, okay, so
Well, this didn't happen.
Clearly did not happen. This is not how she died. But like,
yeah.
it was super cool because the narration changes. You're actually Molly, and yeah, you get turned into a cat, an owl, a
kraken.
shark,
The
a
shark, yeah.
kraken. It's just like really cool, and each animal moves in a different way, so like you have to figure out how
different controls.
different controls. And like the owl, you're hunting mice, so or rabbits, so you have to like fly in or fly over them, and like it's just so cool. I had no idea what was going on for a little bit because
Right.
that was the first one.
You were
and
like,
it was
what the heck is this
so
game?
different. I thought it was going to be like a cut and dry, like, oh, okay, well, she died this way, but then it just like turned into some wild story. But it was really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
really beautiful.
Well, and you sort of get this because they do outright tell you how Molly dies.
Yeah.
That, she got in trouble. She was sent to bed without dinner, and this poor little 6-year-old girl was hungry. So she reached for the first available thing she had to eat, which was toothpaste
And, like,
and
berries.
holly berries, which
Yeah.
are toxic.
Yeah.
And so what you're kind of left figuring out is, in my opinion, all those things that she's thinking, oh, I turned into a cat. I think she's hallucinating.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
she thinks this is happening because what she's eating is
Messing with
is
her.
poisoning her.
Yeah.
And she does die from ingesting things she should not eat. And so it's
But in
this-
Molly's head, that's not what happened.
Correct. Molly doesn't think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
She thinks she's just eating because she's got this voracious hunger and she's turning into all these creatures. When you start thinking about it like that, that's where the dark part of the game comes in, where it's like,
Because it's innocent.
this is a 6-year-old
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
And the parents grounded her and sent her to bed without dinner, which you hear about in every movie story. There's so many depictions of, well, you get to go to bed without dinner. If you're not going to eat your vegetables, then you can just go to bed sort of situation.
Yeah.
And you see what the consequence was of that choice, where a 6-year-old girl doesn't know that toothpaste with fluoride in it is toxic to you if you ingest the entire tube.
Yeah.
Or holly berries, if you start shoving tons of holly berries in your mouth, they're toxic. And so she didn't know what she was doing. She was just hungry.
Yeah.
She just needed something to eat, and she went with what was most available to her. And then she starts hallucinating like this because she's poisoning herself.
But again, that's also, I mean, it is probably what the most
You're
logical
left to make
explanation
those
is,
interpretations.
But
They
that's
don't
really
outright
our
say it.
interpretation
Yes.
of it. I mean, hers was definitely, I think, the most involved. Her and another person
You
would
missed
be.
one achievement you could have gotten
no.
in there while you
In
were
Molly's?
playing as Molly. The achievement, because you missed the first rabbit.
Oh, that's right.
The achievement is to not miss a single rabbit every time.
Oh.
So every time you swoop down as the owl to catch your prey, you have to hit it every
You know
single
I'm bad
time.
at flying mechanics.
And
I
you
can't.
would've- you
I didn't know I was
would've
going to be
you
an
would've
owl.
unlocked- You unlocked, I went back and looked, you unlocked 4 out of the 9 possible achievements. The other
jeez.
4 are very, like I told you at the end, you just missed out on some really kind of dumb little secrets like that.
Yeah.
If you had managed to do that, you would have unlocked an achievement. One of the other achievements, you actually missed a second one as Molly.
Oh.
Is while you're the Kraken, if you just sit and wait for the drunk sailor to finish his song, you get an achievement.
Oh.
I don't know how long it takes,
I was going to say.
but if you wait for it, you get an achievement.
Oh, okay.
Molly's
so,
gameplay was the first one that really stood out.
Well, because it was the first story that you got to explore, and
Mm-hmm.
then the other stories. There are, I mean, obviously each story is different, but that was for me like the most hands-on other than Lewis's story, which we'll talk about in a second. But
Lewis has the coolest gameplay.
yes, I think his was incredible. But yeah, hers was just so, and I felt like it was longer than a lot of the other
It was
ones.
long,
like
yeah.
Lewis's was long, Molly's was long. Some of the other ones, like I was thinking of, not that I didn't enjoy it, but it was like the one, I can't remember his name, but the one where you're hunting with your dad.
Dawn.
Yeah. Is that the?
That's the mom. That's the mom.
Oh, the mom.
Because she was watching her
her
father
dad.
die.
Yeah.
The story is of how her father dies.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to think of his name, but I can't remember. Yeah. So like you're taking pictures, which is
Sam.
cool.
Sam? I think it's Sam.
I don't remember. But you're taking pictures, which is cool. And I was not expecting like what was going to happen with that story. Not that it's a negative thing, but it was just so, Molly's story was so in depth and like involved. And then the other ones were like, oh, you're walking, or you're flipping a page, or you're taking a picture, or you're swinging a swing, or, you know, it wasn't as.
Some of them were very, like Calvin. It was very straightforward of you're just swinging the swing back and forth.
Yeah.
And
his was
it's
a very
over in
short
like,
story.
It's over in like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and then you move on because there's not too many ways you can tell the story of kid swings, jumps off a cliff in the meantime.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to completely loop the loop around, and he achieves
and you're
that.
controlling the
He makes
swing.
it happen, and then in the process, he loses control and sends himself flying off a cliff.
What's the other outcome if you play his story?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I probably haven't played this game since it released because I told you, like, I think I've only played this game once or twice. I don't even know that I've gone back to look at Calvin's story.
Well, I said like
just
when I
know it's an
finish the game,
achievement.
I don't need to play it again.
But I also told you it's just a game where like every now and then it just pops into my head.
Yeah.
And I think this time it popped into my head literally on Halloween because Barbara dies on Halloween.
Yeah.
Barbara is a scream queen, a child actor who was in horror movies. And I think just, I don't know what it was, but it just popped into my head. And I was like, ooh, that would be a really good one to have you play. I probably think of this game once or twice a year and just remember how good it is.
Yeah.
But then, like, no, you're right. You don't need to play this game again.
No. I said to Ed, like, it reminded me of when I went to see the Joker by myself, the Walking Phoenix Joker. I had never seen a movie by myself ever, and I was like, I'm gonna go. I lived next to a movie theater at the time, and I was like, I'm
Took
gonna go see the
yourself on
Joker.
a date to see one of the most psychologically
because I was like, that sounds like a
painful
cool
movies
movie,
ever.
and then I didn't realize how deep and heavy it would be, and then I left the theater. It was like, oh god,
You're a changed man.
I feel awful. So yeah, I don't need to play it again, but it like I'm glad that I experienced it.
It's a game that will stick with you.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
if it were to ever come up again, you would be like, yeah, that was a really, really good game.
And then yeah, Lewis's gameplay was crazy. Apart from the story, which was the most impactful.
We'll talk
which
about Lewis later.
I'll talk about that. But just talking about the gameplay, that was the wildest. So he's a fish canner.
Yeah, he works at a cannery
Yeah,
where they
canning
can
fish.
salmon.
Yeah.
And Lewis's job at the cannery is to cut the heads off of the salmon.
Yeah.
To then
Be
ship the bodies on to be processed and put into the cans.
Yeah. So you're playing as Lewis, and for a while you're just getting these fish off of the conveyor belt and sliding them to the right.
And you're doing that with your right stick.
Yes, right stick is doing just fish stuff. So you're you're sliding the fish, you put it under the slicer, I guess, and then you slide it off the conveyor belt. So there's literally just like two motions. Slide the fish to the right, make sure it's chopped, and then slide it up. And then his story starts to play in a narration of his psychiatrist, and she's depicting
What's been going on in his head.
yeah. And so then there's a whole story of like what he has been kind of imagining and maybe fantasizing about. And it's like a top-down RPG style game, pretty much, of like with your left hand that you're controlling. And really there's not much else to it. It's not like you're like fighting anything. Like you're literally just like a little prince guy character.
It's a little mazy. You kind of have to find your way through some things.
You are moving around, but it's not like you're actually like fighting or anything like that. And you are making a couple decisions, but like you're doing the fish stuff with your right hand, and then in kind of like a daisy thought bubble, you're
playing the RPG with your left
this
hand.
RPG with it, and it just is like was so cool, and it was overwhelming at times, which was the point of his story.
There's the whole point.
And so you're like, the fish is still coming, and you can kind of see it, and you still have to keep going.
And
but
you
then
had the moment where like the fish start piling up, so
and
you
you're like,
start panicking, you're overwhelming, and the game does such a good job of building that up of this is going on in your mind and you're just playing the game.
Yeah.
Imagine what is actually going through someone in Lewis's position where he's just trying to get through his day job, but all these things just keep popping into his head.
It was like this monotonous movement in your right hand, and then like a bunch of fantastical things in your left hand, which is what's supposed to be going on in his head. It just was like, what a cool way to depict a very heavy, topic and story. But yeah, it was really, really cool. And I think the most impactful. And so that was just like the gameplay part that I thought was cool. But his story is definitely, at least for me, the heaviest.
I think for the most part, most people would absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Lewis is the one character in the game who inflicts his own wounds.
I think Grandma Edie also.
That's fair.
But
Lewis is the one character of the game where you outright know for a 100% fact that he inflicted his own.
Yeah, and it's a pretty
we
brutal...
can talk about Grandma Edie at the end. You're probably correct, but the game does not outright tell you that.
Yeah, this is very outright and very brutal.
Very brutal.
But yeah, he's suffering from mental health issues, and he's
substance abuse.
Yeah, he's using different substances. You find a letter that his psychiatrist had written to his mom. The psychiatrist is retelling some of the sessions and like how she saw him declining.
How Lewis is describing what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
And several times in that letter, you hear her say, I really thought I could save him.
Yeah. So you already know.
I saw him going deeper. I saw him going deeper into his mind and checking out of reality. But I thought I could still save him.
Yeah, and then
he
when
was telling me these things, but I thought I could still save him.
And during those moments, the story, the left-hand gameplay gets more fantastical and wild and more in depth. Whereas, like, then you're still doing the monotonous right-hand stuff.
And at one point, right towards the end, the fantastical gameplay completely takes over the screen.
Yeah.
You still have to do the fish part. But now you can't see what you're doing anymore because your brain has completely left reality.
Yeah, and you're just like going by feel,
and
because you've been doing this movement for, I don't know how long that took, like 8.
I think it said he was there
minutes?
for several years.
No, I mean like the actual
process,
gameplay part.
Probably about 5 minutes or so. Yeah.
So you're just kind of, it's muscle memory and then like an audio cue. But I guess the story that was in his head was that he was a prince.
He was getting ready. Yeah, so he...
Or a mayor or something?
You get to make a decision of whether or not you find yourself attracted to a prince or a queen.
Yeah.
You chose the prince option.
Yeah.
The story doesn't change
matter,
much either way. It really doesn't do anything to impact the gameplay. But right at the very end, you find yourself in this situation where you finally get to be with your prince.
And you get to be crowned.
The prince is getting ready to crown you as his co-prince.
Yeah, co-prince.
And
it tells you to kneel, but it's in front of a guillotine.
You almost didn't catch it. Because I had to say it to you. I was like, look at what you're about to do.
No, I didn't even hear you say that.
Because
I saw the guillotine.
In order to be crowned prince, you bend down and stick your head in a guillotine, which then is the implication that he put his head where the fish get cut off.
Yeah.
In order to end it.
Yeah.
And then once you break out of the story, you actually see his hat that has blood spatter on it.
Yeah.
You see a little bit of blood left on his hat. And so you get the story of what happened. So Lewis is
very brutal.
Definitely the heaviest story. You cried.
Yeah.
You cried. There was tears. I even went back in the video and saw you like tearing up and I saw you like wipe a tear away. I mean, and that's the point of the game. That's that emotional impact. For me personally, Gregory has the most impactful story.
Yes.
Because Gregory is a baby, like months old, maybe a year old. I don't remember if they actually give out his age.
No, but you're an actual
He
baby.
is a baby. He is incapable of doing anything himself.
Yes.
And he's taking a bath. His mom and his dad are going through a divorce, and his mom is not supervising him correctly. Again, it's another.
She's on the phone with the dad about divorce stuff.
It's another instance of neglect, kind of like Molly. It's another instance of neglect, which is, just another heavy topic of the story. It's just how the family handled each other. You're in the bathtub as a baby, and you're playing with your toys. And at one point, the mom's getting ready to drain the bathtub, and she gets a phone call. And next thing you know, she's arguing with dad over the phone. And you're just having a good time. You're controlling a toy frog, and you're jumping around and you're knocking all these toys into the tub, and you think everything is just great. You're just having such a good time. The mom finally comes back, does in fact drain the tub, and you immediately get that, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because you know what the buildup is.
Yeah,
you really know early on where this is going.
Well, and also I wouldn't have caught it. I heard it, but it didn't register because you had said, like, listen, what does it sound like? Because there are words that you're trying to find that while the narration for most of the stories, while the narration is being told audibly, visually, a lot of the words come up on the screen as if like it was in a journal. So you have to, for many of the stories, have to unscramble the letters or collect the letters. You hear some of these words as they're being collected, and it sounded a little muffled, and you're like, what does that sound like? And I was like, it sounds like it's underwater. And you're like, yeah. And
then you realize you are actually listening. Gregory is hearing this conversation underwater.
Yeah.
And you think that when mom pulls the drain and the water drains out, you get that moment of relief.
Yeah.
And the game sets it up so beautifully.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's only one thing that can happen. And you get that bit of relief of like, oh, thank God. She got there in time. We're good. But then the phone rings again. And it's the dad again. And the whole story is actually a perspective from the dad. Because the dad blames himself. At the very end, the dad is like, if I just hadn't called that night, if I had just not called, this wouldn't have happened. Mom goes off, leaves the baby in the tub, in a drain tub, but leaves the baby in the tub, runs off to go answer the phone again. And then as you continue playing, the implication is Gregory managed to grab hold of the water faucet and turn the water back on. The plug was back in the drain, and the water just built up to the point where he drowned.
Yeah.
Obviously an accidental experience, but the psychological implication of the dad now blaming himself. Yeah. I'm sure the mom not feeling too good about it. And also the realization, because I said it while we were playing, of like, how easily avoidable would that have been? As a parent, rule number one is you never leave your kid around water like that. You never leave your baby unsupervised. Period.
Yeah, but especially
not in a bathtub. First of all, probably should have just been bathing him in the sink.
Right.
For so many of these characters, how easily avoidable these deaths were.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it just that much more impactful, because there were moments where you're just like, that didn't need to happen.
Right.
And it makes it that much more sad, because I think that's how most deaths in the world happen, where you hear news stories of things, you're just like, that didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
That was so easily avoidable if someone had just paid a little bit more attention.
I think the reason why, obviously his Gregory the baby story was really, really sad, but the reason why it didn't hit me as hard was because it was still in the perspective of the baby. So even when obviously you know what's happening, and that's awful and sad, but then the perspective changes to like you're underwater, but it's not like a sad thing. Like you just are underwater and you see all your bath toys playing.
You think you're having a good time, because then you take over, you become a frog.
Yeah.
So
you're swimming
again,
in the
now
water,
you're underwater
and you're not
having
the
a good
baby.
time swimming.
Yeah, you're just having fun in the tub as a little frog toy. Then everything kind of goes black. Maybe you go down the drain or something. I can't remember.
That one gets me though. That one, just because he is a baby, that one gets me.
But I think just because it's of the perspective of the baby, or like baby toys, in a very whimsical way, it could have been so much darker. And I think you said in the gameplay, like, there aren't a lot of games that would depict a baby death.
You can count on one hand the number of video games that kill off infants.
Yeah, for
Because-
obviously
for
good
obvious
reason.
For obvious reasons.
But I think it was done. Tasteful is not a good word because that's not at all.
It was done in a way that got the point across, and this is the whole point of the game. The game describes itself as magical realism.
Yeah.
It gives you each one of these horrific moments presented to you in a way where you get the point.
Yeah.
But it's just not directly in your face.
Yeah.
They're not drowning a baby.
Yeah, it's a very.
They're forcing you to piece that together in your own mind. You come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the conclusion they want you to come to, but they're not outright telling you.
Right.
They're not outright telling you, going back to Barbara, because we never really know, but I'm pretty sure the boyfriend kills her. The boyfriend is never outright said to be her killer.
Yeah.
She gets killed by the monsters at the Halloween party. I'm pretty sure she has an abusive boyfriend.
Yeah.
They never outright say that because it would be vile for them to outright talk about a 16-year-old girl in an abusive relationship with a guy.
Yeah.
That's not something that you can depict and get away with in a video game or really any form of media. You have to come to those conclusions yourself, which is part of what makes the game so good.
And part of why Lewis's story was so impactful for me because it is kind of a way around it, but also not really. It was very it was very pretty obvious of like what
you
happened.
Hear the slice,
and you're putting your little game character head of like this toy that he imagined himself being into a guillotine. Like it wasn't like a metaphor of like. I mean, it was a metaphor, but it was
sure.
It was pretty much the same metaphor. Like
the game does an excellent job of sort of towing the line of we need you to take these topics seriously.
Yeah.
So we're gonna present it to you in a way where it's fantastical and it's magical, but we're not making a joke out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not making a joke out of any of these situations. We're presenting them in a way that just sort of lessens the blow a little bit, and then you can go back and think about things later.
Yeah.
It's an incredible game for that reason. Whoever wrote the game is quite frankly a genius.
Yeah,
They knew what they were doing. So what did you think of the twist of the game? There is a small little twist in the game. Not even small, I would say. There's a twist in the game. So again, final spoiler warning. You find out towards the end of the game that Edith, the 17-year-old girl you're playing as, is pregnant.
Yeah.
She makes a comment in her journal of, it feels very weird to be the last Finch alive, or maybe the second one alive. And you don't quite know, because you never do find out. Everyone in the family knows that Edith's younger brother, Milton, is missing. Yeah. There's never confirmation that he's dead.
So I immediately thought maybe it's the brother. She's
correct.
Talking about the brother.
And that's what they want you to think of. She starts talking about the possibility of there being a second Finch. And you're like, oh, clearly she's talking about her brother.
And she's 17, so the fact that she's pregnant didn't really...
Again, another topic, teenage pregnancy is not something that comes up in a video game.
Yeah.
Because again, that's a very serious topic to have to explore and talk about.
And when you think about it, like she literally, her entire family is dead. So she has been on her own for several years.
As a 17-year-old, they don't give her any backstory. Like you don't know if she's been in a foster system.
Yeah. So
if she's somehow just been able to be like on the run, surviving for this long,
you
don't know. And then she's pregnant.
Well, and then earlier, before we find out that she's pregnant, I was mentioning like, if you think that there's a curse to your family, why continue the bloodline? Like, why are there so many kids in this family?
At some point, someone in the family needs to be smart enough to just be like, guys, we just need to cut this off.
Yeah, so I was thinking in my head, oh, well, Edith is still a kid, a young adult.
And if she's the last one there, maybe this is where it's
I'm like,
finally
this
going
is
to
it.
end.
She's going to break it. She's going to figure out all the mysteries, and then she's going to walk into the sunset and maybe die. But also, I thought she was going to die at the end. Well, I mean, she does. But I thought
You thought she was going to die in a different way.
Yes, I thought while you're discovering all the stories at the end, I don't know, maybe it was the order that I did it in, but I think it supposed to be in that order. Whereas you get to the end of the game, you're now discovering like your immediate family members' stories. So your brother, your mom.
You learn how your mom died.
Yeah. So as you're discovering that, their part of the house was like up higher, like it was clearly an addition to the original mansion of a house. You're going up and up and up, very, very high on rooftop to rooftop. And so I thought she was going to start discovering, her family. She got all the stories, and then I thought she was going to jump from the top of the top of the house.
I think that's what the game wants you to believe
maybe,
too. I think the game wants you to believe that she's either going to jump or fall. But no, she's pregnant.
Yeah, so that was like...
they take you through a birth canal, first of all.
Yeah.
You are born into the world.
You are the baby in the womb.
You switch to the perspective of the baby, and you discover that she dies in childbirth. Mm-hmm. And so the cycle continues. There's another Finch, and you discover that that's actually the person at the very beginning at the main menu who's on the boat with the flowers and Edith's journal. You think it's Edith. That's the whole setup. But then at the end, you realize you were the boy, the little boy who's now like 11 years old, going to visit his mom's grave. And he's reading the journal. Edith says at the very end, if we're both lucky, you're never going to read this journal. I don't want you to read what's in these pages. But if you are reading, that means I'm gone.
Yeah.
And so that's when you realize Edith is dead, and the perspective is now from the little boy who is going to visit his mom's grave. Mm-hmm. And so really maybe what you don't know the entire game.
Are you playing Edith?
Are you really playing as Edith Finch? Or have you been the boy reading his mom's journal going through the house this whole time? You don't know, because the game is what remains of Edith Finch. Mm-hmm. What remains of Edith Finch is that journal and her story. Edith Finch does not remain. What remains of her? Are you actually playing as Edith?
The boy, her son, is what remains.
Right. Are you playing as her, or have you been the boy this entire time?
Yeah.
You don't know. Do you think video games are a good form of media to discuss and display these heavier themes? Themes of death, suicide, mental illness, divorce, the trauma behind divorce. This game, parents getting remarried and kids going through the trauma of having to accept new people into their family. This game covers a little bit of everything.
It covers a lot, yeah.
It covers a lot of
hard topics.
A lot of hard topics. Do you believe, because I believe the answer is yes. Do you believe that video games are a good vessel to tell those stories?
I think yes. I mean, yes is the easy answer. I think video games are an excellent form of storytelling, which is what this game was. It was, like I said, very story based. But I think you need to tread with caution because of how more personal it could feel.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these games, you're playing as a character that experiences trauma, or you're causing the trauma, or whatever it may be, whatever the topic is.
Or you're making decisions. Because one of the things, you mentioned it at the beginning, the Life is Strange series really devotes itself to these topics. I think Square Enix, the developers of Life is Strange, is one of the few big studios that is willing to explore these topics. In the very first Life is Strange, you have the opportunity to either prevent a suicide or not. And you get a different outcome in the story. You can save lives in that game, or you could not save lives in that game. And that also presents its own heavier topic.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good vessel to depict those stories. But again, just, tread lightly if you have experience with trauma, or if you think that may be a sensitive thing, because I think it's so much more impactful than just watching it into, like, if it was a movie or a TV show or something like that, or a book.
Yeah, because you're actually interacting with something.
Yeah, you are interacting, you're making some of those decisions, or almost feel like you're experiencing those personal things. So I mean, I think it's a beautiful way to depict those, but it's also heavy thing.
It's tough. I think as someone who's been very fortunate to not have to deal with it too much in their lives yet, I think video games could be a great outlet for grief. If you need a place to escape grief, video games can give you, like Pokemon, just something to turn your brain off, or give you an opportunity like Edith Finch to just get those emotions out. If you just need to get them out in some way, shape, or form, there are games out there that can help you do that. And there's games out there that explore so many of these heavy topics because that's the world that we do live in.
Or like you were saying, like you haven't experienced so much. And I've experienced a little bit, which is why some of the stories hit a little bit harder than others. But for people who might not have experience with some of these heavier topics, it's hard. Again, this isn't the right wording, but it's a quote unquote good way to expose yourself to that kind of thing.
It's a good way to learn.
Yeah. In a safer environment, right? You're experiencing it, but it's still kind of behind, what's the phrase? Like rose
magical realism. And that's what the game describes it as, magical realism.
Yeah.
It's important for people to be able to learn about these topics. I think the idea of avoiding these topics is never a correct answer.
Right.
You know, other games that come in mind that, you know, I've played, Cyberpunk 2077, as weird as that sounds, is a game all about this as an overarching theme too. And I'll probably even have you play that one day.
Sure.
Cyberpunk is a game all about coming to terms with your own death.
Got it. Okay.
The common phrase in the game, the common phrase that you hear and you learn about is that there's no happy ending in Night City. There are endings to the game that maybe are a little bit better, but there's never a happy ending. You never get a good ending in that game. Most of the time, the ending is you die. Or through the game, Keanu Reeves takes over your brain. You lose who you are because Keanu Reeves is taking over.
I love that.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, you can come in here anytime you're ready, buddy.
My brain any day.
But you lose who you are, and you have to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
You come to terms with the fact that pretty much no matter what you do, no matter how much you are trying throughout the game to stop it from happening, it happens.
Yeah.
It's coming to terms with things like that. I think video games are fantastic ways to come to terms with very real topics in a way where if it gets too heavy, guess what? You get to shut the game off and walk away.
Yeah.
You don't have to finish the game if it's too much for you. You just get to shut it off and move on or come back to it later.
And I think that this game was the perfect length for that because this was definitely not a game where like if you needed a break or like had to go do something, I don't know, especially if I was playing it alone, I don't know if I would go back to it. Like if I would start it and be like, ooh, gotta go get, finish this really sad game.
Sorry, guys, I can't go out tonight. I got to figure out how these people died.
Yeah. So because it was such a short, 2-hour-ish game, you're hooked with the story. So you want to know what's coming up next. And it is pretty clear when it starts to get, because there's a family tree map kind of that goes through, crosses off.
It's clear when you're getting closer to the end of the game.
So you're like, okay, I can stay here.
I can knock out 2 more people.
Yeah. I can keep going. Whereas, if it was, again, 5-hour game, 10-hour game, it's like, ooh, I don't know. I don't think I'd be coming back. So it's a very, very good length for the heavy topic that it was.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
It's a perfect dose of that topic. And then you get to walk away and you can either continue thinking about it like we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Or you just get to walk away and you get to do the next thing that you want to do. As we get ready to wrap this up, then the question for you is, do you agree with me that it's a good game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm glad that I played it. I just don't need to play it again, but I'm glad that I know this game exists, and I'm glad that I saw it to the end. Definitely not for everyone. I know the disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast and the video was that like if you're not in a great headspace, probably not the best game. But it is like a beautiful story, super well written. I was blown away by the writing of this story.
Agree.
So again, even if I highly recommend checking this game out, whether you're actually going to play it or if you just want to watch gameplay of it. I think it's super well worth it.
Would you play similar games? Not just games. So would you play, first question, would you play games that present similar topics?
Yes, but I would have to like go through breaks. Like
Sure.
you know,
we're not going to sit here this afternoon and just start pulling up mentally draining game after mentally draining game.
Yeah, I think that was what was tough about Life when we played Life is Strange.
Yeah.
The story was so good, but there were so many parts where you're like, oh my God, that is a lot.
Life is Strange is another very heavy game.
Yeah. And with that one, it is a lot longer. So it's tough to like, I mean, and the story was so good that you're like, oh, I really want to know what happens, but it's exhausting.
It is an exhausting game.
So I enjoy it, but I enjoy the shorter style of this, the story-based games.
And that's what I was going to ask. Would you play similar style games, similar art style, similar genre where it's just an easy knockout in one sitting kind of game? Because I know you're not a person that particularly enjoys the like 60 plus hour long RPGs.
No. It gets overwhelming and I get bored and then I'm like, I have like, I'm only 25% of the way there and I have like 15 hours logged or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know.
But I think that's, something that I think can come from this podcast, this little mini series within the series of our podcast is finding games like this that you enjoy playing. Would you then consider finding some of those games on your own?
Yeah.
I think it's fun for me to show you these games. One, because I think you learn a little bit about me. You would not have picked this game to be on my list.
No.
But it's fun for me to show you things that interest me to see if I can convince you to get interested in it.
Yeah.
I can certainly give you recommendations of similar games or even just similar genre games that you can go buy and explore and play on your own now if that is something that interests you.
Yeah.
Because those style of games, there are dozens and dozens and dozens out there that could range from a quick 15-20 minute game to a couple hours to Life is Strange that might take you 15-20 hours to get through if you're trying to get every little ending and every little shortcut and such that you can get through the game. So I don't know, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to get a chance to expose you to things that even once we start playing some of the games that you've seen me play, it's fun to expose you to actually playing the game.
Yeah.
To try and see like, oh yeah, I understand now why you like this game so much.
And I like this format because even games that I do like, it is for some reason really hard for me to just like sit down and turn on a game. Even if it's like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, like it, for some reason, that's just not my immediate thought, at least after like, a day of work or anything. So I like this excuse of playing the different kinds of games because I definitely, even if I had known, regardless, if I had known what this game was or not, I don't know if I would have clicked on it. I don't know if I would have bought it. I enjoyed it.
You would not have made it worth your time had we not had this format that we came up with where I made it, hey, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Even if I knew for a fact that I would really, really enjoy it,
you wouldn't have made the time for
I
it.
don't know if I would have
absolutely
if I would have done that. Especially knowing what the topic was. It's tough, especially like for a movie, or I have that thought of like museums and stuff when it's like about a heavy topic or period of history and you're like, I know it would, I want to experience this, but I know it's going to be really heavy,
right? So
it's like, do I want to spend X amount of hours or X amount of time being sad, but also like being enlightened or learning things.
Yeah.
But then you're like, you just feel so yucky afterwards and just like, ugh.
Yep.
So it's that also is part of it too, where it's like, it's such a good game. But I think at the end of the gameplay, I was like, we got to do something.
We got to go do something fun. We got to get out of the house.
Which we did. And it was,
we got to go
great.
Get some sunshine.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily it was a nice sunny day and everything like that. But yeah, it was definitely one of those games where you're like, okay, we got to do something else. We got to talk about something. So yeah, I mean, but yes, the short answer is yes, I would definitely play more games of that length, of that style. I really, really do like story-based games. Because it keeps you hooked.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that this is shorter and that had a really, really good story.
Yeah, good to know. I mean, the next game I make you play will maybe be something a little more lighthearted then.
Cool.
We can explore something maybe just a little more straight entertainment and not so much need to go out and get some sun on our faces
Yeah,
afterwards.
I mean, and this was definitely a different episode, different topic for us. But I think it's good because maybe some people who are listening or watching are like me and had no idea this game existed and might not even want to play it themselves like me.
Yeah.
But now you can watch it.
We play a lot of games that are just fun and goofy and we have a good time, but you know, there's nothing wrong with us showing a different side of ourselves every now and then where we're just like, yeah, this is a much more serious topic. If you're someone out there listening or watching and you're maybe experiencing some of this stuff, please go find someone to talk to.
Yeah. Don't play this game.
Don't play this game. If you don't think you have anybody to talk to, I promise you do. There are places and things that you can call, text, get a hold of, you know. Please go talk to people.
Yeah.
You know,
But
everyone
also,
experiences something, whether it's something as heavy as this or not, but there are people out there who want to and will help you if you do need help.
absolutely. And again, I do want to reiterate, like, if you feel up to it, I highly recommend checking this game out.
Yes.
It really is a beautifully
It might help you
made
grieve.
game. That's true. Yeah.
It could help you get that out. It could help you grieve.
Hey, if you want to see me cry on the internet, it's on there.
I'm not sure we get to that point in this recording.
That's true.
But if
That's
you
true.
do
But
go
next
back
week.
and watch the full footage next week,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see some tears. I got close a little bit too. I think I got close to crying because you started crying.
Yeah.
Because I again, having played the game, I knew what was going to happen. I can mentally prepare myself.
Yeah.
But I got close to it too because it is a sad topic.
But beautiful. It's a very beautifully told
a very
story.
well presented story. Giant Sparrow, shout out to you guys. We love you. Great job. An 8-year-old game that I feel like is going to be relevant forever. Forever.
Anytime.
It's always going to be relevant. It was relevant in 2017. It would have been relevant in 1987.
I'm surprised
It's
I haven't
relevant
heard
today.
about this game. I mean, I know it is heavier, but it's
I think it was really big when it first came out.
I
It was
guess
one of those
so.
games where like all the YouTubers back in 2017 played it.
but I was watching a lot of the big YouTubers back then. And I feel like
I'm pretty sure Jacksepticeye probably played it. Markiplier probably played it back in 2017. Maybe you pulled up the video and you got the warning from Jacksepticeye that said this is going to be a bit of a heavier game. And you're like, nope,
I don't know.
I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready.
But I'm glad I went in blind, actually.
That's cool.
It was helpful.
I'll try to find some other games where you go in a little more blind. Maybe a lot of the games that I really like and are my favorites, you've at least seen me play a little bit. So it's going to be
That's what I
tough.
thought was going to happen.
But I'll see if I can throw some more curveballs your way. We'll see what happens.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to wrap it up for this episode of That Co-op Podcast. We will definitely be adding more games to the series of I Play Ed's Favorite Games. So stay tuned for more.
If you liked hanging out with us, hit that follow or subscribe button and like the video if you're with us on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Every bit of support helps more people find the show.
We will be back in 2 weeks on November 18th with episode 7, where I read video game reviews and Ed tries to guess the game that we're talking about.
I'm either going to look like a genius or an idiot, and there's no in between. But thanks for gaming with us.
Bye.
Bye.